As predicted, several intention-killing thoughts had surfaced during Brad's first attempt at responsible drinking. And it is these very thoughts that we now have to look at more closely. The first thought to emerge was the idea that practicing responsible drinking, that regimen, meant missing out on all the fun. As Brad described it, he felt like he was a kid in timeout, watching his friends have fun. When he reflected back on his thoughts, it was quite easy for Brad to see how distorted that thinking really was. He wasn't missing out on anything. In fact, by not participating in what his buddies were doing, Brad was really experiencing something far more valuable and far more pleasurable than overdrinking: self-discipline, moderation, and a cold beer to boot. Not to mention how much better he felt physically the next day, and how good it felt to have his wife be kind of proud of him for the choices he'd made. Now, it would be nice if this new realization could simply replace the distorted thought of missing out on all the fun. But the brain doesn't work that way. It's going to take a lot more work to get his brain to actually use this new realization instead of the distorted thought that popped up and crippled his intention. If Brad's going to reprogram his brain to regard responsible drinking as pleasurable and self-discipline as more fun than getting intoxicated, it's going to take a lot more practice and repetition of these new thoughts to get Brad's brain to pay attention to them. And this is really the brain's security system. It exists to ensure that old programs can't simply be deleted or overwritten. It's actually a great feature that keeps the system stable by not letting a rogue program get introduced into the system that could crash the entire system. Old programs don't get deleted until a new program is installed that is powerful enough to take over. And the only way to increase that power, that signal strength of the new program, is by repeatedly loading it into the system, one thought at a time. The second thought we looked at was the idea, you screwed up, you might as well go for it. Seriously? Would you do this with your bank account? If you discovered you'd accidentally bounced a check and were in the red, would you say to yourself, you screwed up, you might as well go for it, and then proceed to keep right on spending? Again, the logical statement is quite obvious when you look at it from this perspective, isn't it? The logical counterpart would clearly be, you just had one beer more than you wanted to, acknowledge that mistake, and continue with your intention. One beer past your intention is 80% better than 5 beers past your intention. But again, don't expect the brain to convert to this logical statement just because we identified it. These new logical ideas now need to be put on a second tape that Brad will use to get ready for the next event. This tape might look something like this. When I see others drinking irresponsibly, I want to regard my responsible choices as far better, far more pleasurable, because they give me self-discipline, better health, and a better marriage. These things are far sweeter than one could ever get from drinking too much. The only feeling I ever get from drinking too much is intoxication, remorsefulness, and hungover. If I do happen to go past my limit for any reason, I want to acknowledge that this has just happened and repeat in my head that one beer past my intention is 80% better than 5 beers past my intention. So carry on with my intention. Start over immediately at the top of the very next hour. So now Brad has 2 tapes to watch. Tape 1 contains his intention, and tape 2 contains the logical responses to his distorted, intention-killing thoughts. It is of most importance that these newly created logical responses be practiced over and over again. Brad asked me, how many times would he have to listen to and watch these tapes? My answer, That depends. It depends on how many times Brad has drank to intoxication because he would have felt left out by not doing it. It depends on how many times Brad has used having more than he intended as an excuse to just keep right on going. The most accurate answer is until he's no longer hearing the distorted thinking popping up when he's trying to carry out his intention. As an estimate, I recommend at least 10 minutes per day for the next 100 days. You can fit about 10 ideas on a 1-minute tape. If you watch that tape 10 times a day, we're talking roughly 100 thoughts a day. This works out to about 10,000 strokes to the good side over the course of 100 days. That is about the number of positive strokes I would estimate it will take until Brad is standing on the golf course, contemplating reasons to abandon his intentions, and his brain will automatically fire off the corrected logical thoughts he's been practicing, instead of the old illogical distortions that were there. 100 days is about the point at which I find most of my clients expressing that they had this kind of experience. Furthermore, there's support for this 10,000 number in Malcolm Gladwell's book Outliers. He posits that it takes about 10,000 hours of practice to become phenomenal at something, to become an outlier. Extrapolating from this number, I have figured 10,000 practice strokes to be a good number to get us into the game. We don't have to be a phenom to do this. We just have to be proficient. Shooting 10,000 free throws won't make you a Michael Jordan, but after 10,000 tries, you'll be pretty decent at making a free throw. I challenge my clients to prove me wrong on this number, and it's never been done. Everyone who has taken my challenge has only proved me right. At the end of 100 days or thereabouts, the most common response I get is this. There I was, being offered another beer, and it was as if someone pushed play. And there was this voice in my head reciting the logical thoughts I'd been practicing all along. Now, Brad will expose more of these illogically distorted thoughts as he continues this process. Once we go to work neutralizing the distorted thoughts, it's as if the brain goes to work manufacturing more distortions to slash our intentions. A funny thing the brain is, isn't it?